The statue of Chephren. Chephren was an important king of the 4th dynasty. He ruled Egypt for about 25 years. He is the owner of the second pyramid at Giza plateau, together with a complex including, in addition to the pyramid, a valley temple, a mortuary temple, and a causeway connecting both of them, and it measures about 600 m. The valley temple lies at the eastern side of his pyramid, in which they found some statues belonging to him. A theory says that most probably they were 23 in number, cross-pending with the numbers of the human organ, but without repeating the organ, which had 2 pairs. That is, the human organs were 26 in number. These statues most probably were used in the process of opening of the mouth, every statue for 1 organ. Unfortunately, we found only 6 of these statues, including this statue, which is our main concern. All of them are exhibited in the Egyptian Museum, and they are made out of different stones, some of granite, others of alabaster and limestone. The statue of Khafre, which are in front now, is made out of diorite, which is very hard stone, harder than the granite it is brought from several quarries at Nubia. It was discovered by Marita's workman inside a pit in his valley temple. This pit leads to the T-shaped hall was most, and the original place of these statues, probably the colonnade hall, where we have remains of rectangular spaces on ground over which the statues were placed. The king here is represented sitting on a high back pillar throne. He is represented in a life-size measurement. He is represented with all signs of royalty, the NMS headdress. The cobra, urias, attached to the forehead, but unfortunately half-lie damaged, the shendite, and false royal, the beard. The facial features are very well represented, the full face with high cheekbones, wide nostrils, and wide mouth. His eyes were represented looking forward to the horizon over all the level of human being, which is considered as sign of divinity. Also, the body features are very well represented. He was a very strong wide chest. The muscles and veins of the arms and legs are very well represented, as well as the toes of the king. He is represented with all the signs of youth, strength, and power. He is represented with a thin belly with an idealized canon of proportion. He is shown putting his 2 hands on his thigh. One of them, which is the right one, is closed, holding a folded piece of material, which refers to sign of power, while the other one is represented with the open palm, which is sign of mercy, as if he wants to show both power or authority and mercy at the same time. The throne over which the king is sitting is flanked from both sides with the head of a lion, as well as the 2 frontal legs of the lion. We have 2 meanings concerning the representation of the 2 lions. 1. The abstract meaning, which gives sign of protection to the king and power at the same time. 2. The religious meaning, which is explained as follows. In hieroglyphs, we have a representation for 2 heads of lion and in between a solar disk. This sign is known as Icar. This sign refers to the birth of the sun, so it is said that Khafre here replaced the solar disk by himself to represent himself during his birth between the 2 lions. On both sides of the throne, we have a representation for the Smata Y, which is the sign of unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. The Smata Y sign is represented by the lotus and the papyrus knotted on the trachea and the lungs of a human being, most probably of the king. Explaining the representation of Smata Y, we have 2 opinions. 1. Both the lotus and the papyrus are knotted on the lungs, and the trachea of the king, showing that both Upper and Lower Egypt are taking their breath from the lungs of the king, and so they survived. 2. The lungs and the trachea are representation of the delta and the Nile, so they represented Upper and Lower Egypt tied together under the unification of the king who is represented seated on the throne. From a side view or a back view, one could see a representation for the falcon god Hours attached to the head of the king. The falcon god is represented in smaller size than the king himself, because of the idea of divinity of the king during that time, and which was completely changed during the New Kingdom. Concerning the position of the falcon Hours, we have different opinions. 1. To support the neck, as it was considered the weakest part of the body. 2. To show full protection to the king, that is, as if he is protecting him by surrounding his neck by his wings. 3. The most recent opinion, which considered the whole statue representing the triad consisting of Osiris, Isis, and Hours, since every king after his death is considered as Osiris. So Khafre here is representing Osiris, the throne is representing Isis, as it is considered the emblem of Isis, and Hours is represented at the back. 4. Since the king was considered the living picture of the god on earth, so he is representing God, Hours of earth, and the falcon is representing God, Hours of heaven. On the base of the statue, we have the titles and the name on the king carved on both sides of the pedestal of the throne. NB, the other statues of Khafre found with him were partly broken, maybe because there was not representation for God Hours to support the neck, and maybe because they were made of weaker stone than the diorite.